Alrighty, for those of you who have just joined us after closed session, welcome to the hybrid regular meeting of the Board of Trustees. I'm Laura Simon, Board President, and I would like to introduce my fellow trustees. Lisa Pelosi, Sean Mora, Jeannie Kerr, Jean Marie Wolf, and Student Board Representative Sunny Calder. I also would like to introduce our district staff, Superintendent Dr. Jody McClay, Assistant Superintendent Mr. Christopher Heller, Chief Business Official Dr. Kay Vang, Executive Assistant to the Superintendent and Governing Board, Ms. Erica Madrigal, Executive Assistant to the Assistant Superintendent, Ms. Melissa Hansen, Director of Technology, Mr. Derek Machado, and additional site administrators are joining us in the audience. St. Helena High School Principal, Mr. Benjamin Cinto, Robert Louis Stevenson Middle School Principal, Mr. Andrew Ryan, St. Helena Elementary Middle School Principal, Dr. Carmen Emery, and St. Helena Primary School Principal, Mrs. Rebecca Rocha. We're delighted that you're viewing in person, on Zoom, on television, channel 27, or on our YouTube channel. A copy of this board meeting video will also be available on our website at www.sthelenaunified.org. In connection with items 4A and 4B, the board received information and provided staff with direction. In connection with item 4C, the board conducted the superintendent progress report. Okay, let's all stand for the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we're going to move on to item 6A, public comment on open session items. Is there anyone present who wishes to publicly comment on items not on the agenda? Okay. No one else? Okay. Okay, let's move on to 7A, presentations. Recognition of the St. Helena Unified School District 2025 Teacher of the Year. Call on Mr. Heller, please.
All right, good evening. I would like to take this opportunity to recognize our St. Helena Unified School District Certificated Employee of the Year and call up to the podium Missy Gott. I'm going to read a few things written by Principal Rebecca Rocha in support of Ms. Gott as our Certificated Employee of the Year. Ms. Gott continues to be one of the most jolly, happy teachers at our school. She exudes this level of friendliness towards everyone, teachers, parents, and community members. Even though she has years of teaching experience, she has an eagerness to learn new ways to teach. I've watched her choose to learn how to better instruct her multilingual learner students, becoming certified in guided language acquisition design model of instruction. And she's also received training over the summer on a new way to teach math in her classroom called Building Thinking Classrooms. Last spring, we had a team of educators from the Sonoma County Office of Education come into her classroom to observe her students during math instruction. They were blown away to watch kindergarten students engaging in high-level thinking, reasoning, and problem solving. There's a classroom culture of high expectations, but lots of laughter and smiles. She has a group of teacher assistants from our local high school who work in her class every day. These students are her former students, and she continues to be a person in their lives who encourages them to do their personal best. I'd also like to add that Ms. Scott received 10% of all the nominations for Teacher of the Year in our district, and so it made it very easy to have her selected to represent our district. Moving on to Napa County, where she may and probably likely will be selected as Napa County Teacher of the Year. So, Missy Gott. The floor is yours to say what you would like.
I'm not much of a public speaker in venues like this. I'm used to 5-year-olds, but I just want to say thank you for the honor, and my whole team is here. And in my letter that I submitted, I really feel this is teamwork. I am representing our entire team of kindergarten. I'm representing our entire school at St. Helena Primary. We have a wonderful administrator who supports us and gives us those opportunities, and I have fantastic students and supportive district staff. So thank you. I am honored. I appreciate it. Thank
If
you.
you'd come around, shake everybody's hands. When she's
Okay, 7B, presentation of the St. Helena High School winter sports. Mr. Cinto.
All right, I am here in Mr. Farrell's stead, so I'll keep it quick. Winter sports season commenced on Monday, November 4th, and wrapped up on Saturday, February 22nd. A continued testament to moving soccer to the winter is that we've been able to field both JV and varsity teams in both boys and girls basketball and soccer. Below are some of the successes St. Helena High School athletes experienced this winter season. So team achievements, boys varsity basketball, NCL1 co-champions and NCS qualifier. Girls varsity basketball, most wins since 2014. Narrowly missing NCS, and girls wrestling, 6 in NCS section. Individual achievements, and one of these we just found out today. Ana Carla Hernandez for wrestling, 4th place. Yeah, applaud. Why not? 4th place CIF state wrestling meet, first medal winner in school history, and hot off the press, literally the press Democrat has named Ana Carla Female Wrestler of the Year.
Oh my gosh.
I don't even know if she knows that yet.
Wow.
Really quick, Piper Pike Wrestling, 100 career wrestling victories, CIF state qualifier, junior and senior years. Anais Hernandez Wrestling, CIF state qualifier. All NCL1 basketball boys and girls, Jack Robinson, co-MVP, Michelle Hanna, first team, Peter Oliver, second team, Xander Kelparis, honorable mention, Tessa Barrett, first team, Ella Lindquist, honorable mention, all NCL1 soccer boys and girls, Anthony Montanez, Camilo Aguirre, Aristeo Eusebio, George Filippini, honorable mention, Emily Glakler, Gemma Hanna, Juliana Carroll, honorable mention, Brianna Diaz, honorable mention, all NCL wrestling, Nick Woods, Harry Abundas, Ana Carla Hernandez, Piper Pike, Anais Hernandez, Jimena Renaga. And to close, we are now in the throes of spring sports, which I just came from, full swing. 113 students participating. That's 27% of our entire student body participating in just one season. So athletics is up and running at the high school and going well. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Cinto. 7D, getting ahead of myself. 7C, presentation by the student representative of the board. Please, Ms. Calder.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. Sorry, I'm in my stage makeup, so excuse me. Okay, to begin with the high school, March is kind of a tough month for a lot of high schoolers. We don't get a lot of breaks. So it's a really good way and a really good opportunity to encourage students both academically and in activities such as rallies and sports and such. Just as Mr. Cinto said, it's the beginning of track and field, swim, golf, and tennis seasons. And in addition to that, leadership is preparing for their March rally tomorrow and really focusing on making it really good, as well as a focus on scholarship season. It's estimated that we're going to get about $400,000 in scholarships this year to rival last year, which is like so impressive, and I just can't believe like how lucky we are to have that available to us. And also, college workshops have just began for juniors. It's kind of crazy because I feel like it was just yesterday when I was in those workshops. And then everyone's preparing for Run Big. I'm sure all of you guys know it's a huge district-wide event, but leadership in high school is kind of planning videos for it, planning courses, and kind of just getting ready, as well as 8th grade preview day, a good way to kind of transition from 8th grade to the high school. We're preparing, making courses, getting tours ready to go. Next slide. These are a couple of photos from the high school. We had FFA week in late February. FFA week is a really good way to kind of like show off how great our FFA program is, because it really is that great. So we had Rockstar versus Cowboy Day and Twin Day. That's Miss B with all her Avid class. And then, as Mr. Cinto was saying, Anna Carla is there on the 4th podium at state. She really did a fantastic job. Okay, moving on to the RLS. The majority of the work I did this month was with the RLS, and I have to say thank you to Mr. Ryan for helping me out with this survey. We got just over 200 responses, which was like such a dream because I got so much data, and it's kind of piggybacking off of a survey I did for in partnership with ASB for the high school, where we based it off of the California Healthy Kids Survey, and we got a lot of good input on like people's meaningful participation and stuff like that. So I was really happy to be able to do that with the RLS as well. And I have a little snippet of that data to show you today, but I will be doing more in-depth review of it later. Just general activities going on at the RLS. Mr. Brown's assembly was last month, but they're still kind of incorporating it into advisory curriculum with Miss Simon, making better choices, setting goals and stuff like that. Avid took a trip to PUC, so kind of creating that career college connection. And then another Give Big rally. Interestingly enough, from the data I collected, people at the middle school really enjoy rallies, so I'm sure that was a big hit. And very exciting news, map testing is officially over. I'm sure the RLS kids are thrilled. And a big focus on supporting 8th graders as they transition into high school, which is great with the tour and everything like that. This is a snippet of the data I just collected on Tuesday. I kind of picked one of the simpler questions, which was just to rank your level of participation in Spirit Days. As you can see, not necessarily the majority, but the center of our data is kind of in the middle ground. And so it's going to be really interesting to see how we can encourage people to kind of get more involved, especially as they transition into high school. And then for every question where we had like a ranking system, we also kind of qualified it with like why, if they ranked low. And so you can see here that like, I forget, I don't know what the days are, I don't have clothes to fit the Spirit Day. It's embarrassing, which of course they're middle schoolers, you know, what are you gonna do? But there are things that we can help, which is I don't have the clothes that fit that day. That's something that's totally accessible for us to help. So, you know, it's just really good to get that, make sure kids are participating and they feel welcome. And then just some photos. I had a great conversation with Miss Calparis, who's here tonight, about the lovely fashion show that she's kind of spearheading, putting on. These are some photos from the middle school and the work they're doing there. It's really great to see them kind of help out with their own designs and stuff like that. So just showing what's going on at the middle school. And then with the elementary school, I had the pleasure of sitting in on a student council meeting, which is very cool to see kind of how it's exactly what I do at the high school, but just at the lower levels, and they're still building those foundational skills. I really enjoyed sitting in on it. But they're planning Run Big Week, where they plan every Spirit Day and Spirit Week, with like emphasizing communication, as well as National Rare Disease Day. It was cool to see them come up with ideas to like make sure they're showing compassion and empathy, which was the value of the month, to their fellow students who may have experienced a rare disease. And then just a side note, after school programs are going really well. I've got a lot of great feedback from both Miss Coyle and Miss Calparis here, and just saying that the art students are really enjoying it. It's a great way for them to meet future teachers and stuff like that. And very exciting, 4 students have recently reached reclassification status, so they're no longer English language learners, but they're multilingual learners, and it's very hard to do, so they'll be formally celebrated later this spring. They had a family reading night at the library. It was very successful. All of the students got to take home 2 free books, which is like amazing. Again, just keeping the reading at home and reading at school, making sure that connection is still there. And some exciting science news. There's a 3rd grade fish release. They had a Calistoga Geysers trip, and 4th and 5th grade is preparing for their state science test. And here's some photos that I got from the after-school program for the elementary school. And then finally, I just wanted to follow up on the Forget Me Not, which was, it was a movie at the Cameo for focusing on inclusion. I got to talk to some lovely faculty at the primary special ed department, and it was really great to talk about how that left a positive, lasting impact, and it was really good to see. Problem solving is the character trait of the month, so they've been kind of incorporating that into assemblies and curriculum. And along with the elementary school, they had a family night at the public library. 12 families were in attendance, and 3 library cards were issued. And then on the 3rd of March, it was Read Across America Day. This was something I really enjoyed as a little kid, so it was great to see that people were still doing it. But just inviting families to come read with their kids and, again, building that connection. And then the Cafeteria Kids drama program with the 2nd grade is starting to finish up, and it's doing really well. I'm hearing great things. And then finally, they're organizing a Dine and Donate for Give Big, which just another example of how it's district-wide. Give Big is just such a big part of who we are here. Anyway, here are the photos from the Cuddle Up and Read, and that is all I have to share with you today.
Thank you, Sunny. Okay, we're going to move on to, I'm sorry, do the trustees have any questions about this agenda item before Sunny?
No. Yeah. No, all good. Thank you, Sunny.
Thank you, Sunny.
Okay,
Have
see
a
you
great
later.
rehearsal.
Bye. Break a leg.
7D. Okay, we're going to turn to a performance by the Robert Louis and Stevenson Orchestra, and I'd like to call on Mr. Binder. Here he comes.
You're going to have to.
Let's see, do they want to? Mr. Binder, do you want to use the front up here? Yeah, and then we can move, yeah.
Good. How are you? Okay, so I got the biggest kick out of that story about the cyber. That's my favorite part of dinner, getting in on this with the general stories. Oh, very. So just encourage him to like stay positive. You're good. You're good. Get it. You're just. It's okay. We're good. Watch. Go ahead.
We're good to go.
You need to do. What's that?
We're good. Good to go. Cool.
Looks good to me.
Good evening, St. Helena Unified School District Board of Education, Administration, and Community. My name is Brandon Binder, and I have the privilege of directing the RLS Orchestra program in addition to teaching the music classes at St. Helena Elementary School and St. Helena Primary School. To my knowledge, this is the first orchestra program in St. Helena Unified School District history. We invite you to attend an exciting night of music on March 27th in the St. Helena Elementary School Theater. Our RLS Orchestra will serve as the pit orchestra for the 3rd and 4th grade concerts at 5 and 6 p.m. respectively. Following the elementary performances, the students will perform a special concert under candlelight. We hope you can make it to this special concert, which will be the centerpiece of our orchestra program. Looking ahead, we will be attending the Music in the Parks Festival this May. Next school year, we plan to participate in the Fiesta de Octubre community event, compete in a CMEA festival, and perform alongside our amazing band program in our annual fall and winter concerts. On a personal note, I really enjoy the relationships that I get to build with these students over time. I cherish watching my students grow up, overcome challenges, celebrate successes. It is really special to teach on 3 of our campuses and accompany these amazing, amazing individuals on their educational journey. Tonight, you're going to hear 2 excerpts from our candlelight concert. The first is a traditional lullaby from Latin America called Duermete mi niño. Many of our students have shared that their parents sang this lullaby to them when they were younger. Next, we'll perform Gaelic Castle, a beautiful piece that depicts the Scottish countryside. Thank you for your continued support of music education in our district. Our students are so lucky to have leaders that recognize the importance of music education in their lives.
do change. We are going to have a okay. Just so you know. Oh, no.
Thank you to Mr. Binder and the orchestra. Thank you. That was wonderful. Okay. We're going to take a break. Okay, so we'll just take a break. I'm gonna go get some.
Was it just the two of you?
Okay, thank you for joining us. We're going to begin with item 8A through I, which is the consent agenda. The consent agenda contains routine items judged as appropriate to be acted upon in one motion. If a board member requests that an item be removed from the consent agenda, the item will be considered under discussion action items. Is there anyone present who wishes to comment on the agenda item? Okay. Were there any written comments submitted? No. Okay. Do the trustees have any questions about this agenda item?
No.
No? Okay. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
I'll make that motion.
Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Ms. Madrigal will conduct a roll call vote.
Trustee Wolf?
Aye.
Trustee Kerr?
Aye.
Trustee Mora?
Aye.
Trustee Pelosi?
Aye.
President Simon?
Aye. Motion carried. 9A is now on to communications. 9A, board member reports. And Trustee Mora, please.
That came up fast. I was not expecting to be on. Okay, I'm good. I do not have any slides tonight. What I wanted to talk about is that, I am representing the elementary school. That's the spotlight. And what I wanted to talk about is the school's effort. They're doing, leading the effort for a pilot to look at a tool to replace MAP as the assessment tool, mid-year assessment tool. So MAP, just in case you don't know, but I think it's the software that the St. Helena Unified uses to predict, or it looks at growth. It also is used as a predictor for, or help the kids set goals, at least at the elementary school, for reading specifically, and then also as a predictor for yearly state test outcomes. And last year, staff questioned whether this tool is the best tool, both from a student usability perspective and then also from a teaching perspective. And so that led the district to take a look at, are there other software out there that might be a better fit for students and for staff. The pilot process, the district-wide, they've collected pros and cons for MAP, just so that we had an idea of what works well, what do they like functionality-wise, what they don't like, both for English and math teachers at all 4 schools. And then a tool called STAR was selected for the pilot. And it's actually one of the software products that it was an under 25 contract that we just approved in the consent agenda for Renaissance Software. At the elementary school, they have already administered the STAR reading assessment 3 times. So August, October, and January. And Carmen graciously supplied me with data because she knows I love data, just to show what it looks like, but I'm not going to share that tonight. And then they've also administered MAP in October and March, both in reading and math. And so what I wanted to just say for that is that nobody likes double testing, but there's really no true way to compare the output of a tool unless you're actually comparing students at the same time frame and the same subjects. They will plan to administer STAR Math before the end of the school year. So they've really only been doing a comparison with the 2 or 3 times with the English to date. For the remainder schools, the primary school, they plan to select 3 to 5 students per class, and the teachers are going to select them so that it's representing all the student subgroups. By the way, I didn't say STAR does offer both a language of English and Spanish as the language that the student interacts with. And then there's an opt-in, I think, for RLS and high school teachers, both in English and math, where they're going to pilot it depending upon the teacher that opts in with the classes that they have and the students that they have. So that's just a little bit different of a pilot approach than the elementary school, which I did not say is all students. So all teachers, all students, all grades.
Okay.
And then the goal is to complete the pilot, obviously for the elementary school, and then the other 3 schools by the end of May. And they would like to make a recommendation in May of what to move forward with, because they could actually find that they don't like it and they would want to stay and evaluate something else. That's always an option. And then if they like STAR, better than what they have, they would come back in June for the board to adopt, moving into the new school year with a new tool.
Okay,
And that's it.
that's great.
Okay, thank you, Trustee Mora. 9B, Superintendent Report, Dr. McClay.
Okay, good evening. I'll be brief again tonight. What a treat it was to hear from our student orchestra. That is a fabulous reminder of why we do what we do. Another reminder of why we do what we do are our fabulous teachers, and it was such an honor to get to recognize Miss Scott tonight. There she is, she's still here. I've had the distinct pleasure of observing in her classroom on multiple occasions, and I always marvel at how calm and focused it is, even with kindergartners. I don't know how you do that. They are so incredibly busy learning, and she makes it look incredibly easy every single day. So congratulations, Ms. Scott, and you truly represent the high quality of teachers that we have throughout the entire district. It's also so amazing to hear that so many high school former students that had her as a kindergarten teacher continue to volunteer in her classroom. So I think that just speaks to the impact, the lasting impact and legacy that she has on her students. So I'm also excited tonight on the agenda. We have received an additional donation to send more students to the University of the Pacific Pre-College Summer Program. The Seroptimus International of St. Helena is sponsoring 2 additional students to the 4 that we were already sending. And then I was told today that we are in discussions with another group who may be interested in sponsoring additional students. So more information to follow, I'm sure, but we are very blessed here in St. Helena to have so many sponsors and donors to support our students. A few upcoming events I just wanted to highlight real quickly. West Side Story, as you know, opens tomorrow night. From the few sneak peeks I've had into rehearsal, it will be an amazing show. So they are expecting sold out audiences. So if you haven't got your tickets already, we would encourage you to go online and grab some. The annual Give Big campaign is also well underway. It runs through the end of March. If you haven't had an opportunity yet, please go online and donate, as this program supports field trips, assemblies, guest speakers, and much more. Their target this year is to raise $250,000 to support students at all 4 of our schools. And I believe today when I checked online, they are just under 60,000 already. So please go online if you haven't had an opportunity. To celebrate the conclusion of the Give Big campaign, we do an annual event here called Run Big. Thank you, Erica, for posting this. It's coming up Friday, April 4th. If you are interested in volunteering, anyone watching the meeting tonight, please go online and you can sign up at the Give Big site to volunteer and support this event. But this is an amazing one, I'm told. I haven't gotten to see it live yet, but in action, our high schoolers will kick it off early afternoon. I think it's 11:15 is the start time, 11:25. They will kick off right out in front of the high school, and they run to all of the schools, and as they pass each school, they are picking up the student body on that campus, basically, so that we will end the event with all 1,100 plus students at the high school. And they get splashed with color. It's a color run as well as they get to each site. So we're looking forward to that. I've been working closely with the fire department, the police department, and city staff. They've all been amazing, and they will be out in full force to support the event. And then lastly, Java with Jody is next week, Wednesday the 19th, for anyone watching who would like to join. We had a great turnout last time, so I encourage folks, if you have questions, concerns, or just want to chat and learn more about the district, to please join us there. So I promised I would be brief. There you have it.
Okay, thank you. We're going to move on to 9C, Superintendent Subcommittee Reports. And the district has the superintendent subcommittees, which meet regularly, and board members are in attendance at the committee meetings. And since our last board meeting, we've had the board policy meeting, the business operations meeting, the LCAP steering committee, and the student and equity and belonging committee. So it's been quite busy. So why don't we begin with the business operations, which was on the February 27th with Trustee Mora and Trustee Wolf, if you'd like to share anything from those meetings with us. Any takeaways? Any one or two
Did
thoughts?
last time, so I would wanted you to offer, or wanted you to be able to.
Oh,
Do you
okay.
want me to? It doesn't matter.
No, it's, as always, Dr. Vang is very thorough. We get an update of everything happening, where we are with facilities. She brings a good crew of people to help us. And like with all the committees, I will just say, it's really great to see a cross-section of people that attend, and the fact that input is wanted and needed and appreciated, I think is really valuable for any of the committees.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
I think just the big thing to note that came out of there was the Boys and Girls Club moving back into their facility. So that was the biggest hurrah, hurrah. So
Okay. Great, thank you. In the LCAP steering committee with Trustee Mora and Trustee Wolf as well. Ladies are on tonight.
I just realized I don't have any notes because it was kind of a working session. I was looking
Okay.
frantically. No, but what we did is there were new, basically, action items under each of the 3 different goal categories that the leadership team has come up with, and there was 3 different easels, and we were walked through. Everybody was walked through what the new items were that they were proposing. And then at the end, we took little dots and put a dot next to the items that we thought were going to be the most impactful with driving change to support the LCAP goals. I'm trying to think of that. Who was there with
And we
me?
also spent time
Yeah.
sharing, talking about the different goals, what we're doing well, what maybe we could add to it to, enrich them even more. So a lot of sharing, definitely.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Student Equity and Belonging Committee, that was held on Wednesday, March 5th with Trustee Kerr and Trustee Pelosi.
Would you like me to? Okay. Yes, there were about 12 of us in attendance. I will say that this committee meeting started out with a facilitator from the Napa County Office of Education. Lucy Edwards came, and the reason why Lucy was there, invited by Dr. McClay, was, if you'll recall, on our dashboard, we had 15 students that were identified as homeless. And when that happens, it triggers, if you will, the option of differentiated assistance from the county level. So Dr. McClay asked her to join us, of which we got an overview of what that looks like. We reviewed some data on the dashboard once again to look at that population and perhaps what levels of engagement and assistance might look for that particular subgroup. We don't have to focus on that, but that was what we started out the meeting with. As the meeting progressed, however, I will say there was a shift that was discussed. It was all very positive, but it once again became what's the ultimate intention and goal of this particular committee? And it was a very positive conversation. We had great representation from all 4 schools, staff-wise. And I think what we gathered from it, and Dr. McClay will attest to this as well, is that there tends to be a little bit more of an urgent need at some of our campuses for our students in dealing with some cultural relevancy issues. And so I think we're going to take like a little bit of time to look at our focus, see where it might be best used. Maybe it is some training for some staff. Teachers were very open about what they wanted to see for professional development in terms of cultural relevancy. And I think that we just kind of stopped. We actually went over time, but it was all for good reasons, in that we want to make sure that this committee is really focused on what needs to be important at this time. And is it belonging for our students? And then maybe the academic part of that is not the primary focus of this committee. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So Trustee Kerr, go ahead and add in onto that.
So I'll add on that it was the 15 homeless students. The way that the reason why we were looking specifically at them and had like a data drive on them was because they were on the CAF score, they were on the yellow and the orange areas. Is that correct?
They were actually red.
Red, they were red. And it was red in chronic absenteeism and suspension. So that kicks in a differentiated assistance kind of a thing. And that's what Ms. Edwards was there to facilitate for us. And I have to say and also one of the big questions was what exactly is homelessness? And homelessness is there's three sets. It's three. They're without a dwelling, or they're living in a condition where there's multiple families, or they're displaced. So it could be by a fire or any kind of like an emergency or anything. So that's the definition of homelessness. And what I really appreciated about the meeting was everyone's honesty. I mean, that was amazing because it really started a very good conversation. And then I also really enjoyed looking at kind of the data drive, kind of a deeper level at our CASP scores. And why I appreciate that is because not everyone sees the CASP scores the way that we see them, and it was even kind of a deeper dive. So everyone was kind of like really understood kind of what was going on with it at this point, and a lot of questions kind of just around the data as well. Did you want to say anything? Dr. McClay, are you?
That's good.
Oh, I think you both gave a fabulous summary, so thank you.
Okay. Alrighty. Okay, we're going to move on to 9D, St. Helena Teachers Association report to the board. President Lusseldorf. Is he here? Oh, great.
Good evening, trustees. So I'm going to keep this short because we have another proposal coming up towards the end. So at this time I'm just saying hello. We had a good swim meet today. I hope so. That's why the regalia that I'm wearing right now. So you'll hear more from me later on. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, 9E, California School Employees Association report to the board. Is Mr. Perry here? Great. Good evening, Mr. Perry.
Good evening. Madam President, trustees, Dr. McClay, Assistant Superintendent Heller, and Dr. Vang. I do bring you greetings on behalf of and those members of my union who are at home and our community watching us. Allow me to introduce one of our board members who are with us tonight. We have our Director of Communications, Mrs. Lisa Montelli. I do bring you greetings on behalf of each and every member of Chapter 287. Our actions define us more than what our words do. This month, a couple of classified employees had an opportunity to go to our district for some time off and need. The district didn't have to grant it to us. They could have said, we're shorthanded, we don't have enough staff. But they lived their values, that their words actually matched their actions and allowed these employees to take the time off. One had a home break-in, another one had a celebration with a family, so I appreciate that. Allow with me, just for a few seconds, to share with you a quick story because I am a storyteller. Do you ever feel like your work is monotonous or dull? Or that your life is lacking in flavor or meaning? You're not alone, but there's good news. We can all bring meaning and purposes to our work and life simply by changing our attitude. It's doable by everyone. When President Kennedy was visiting NASA, he saw a custodian happily mopping a floor. So he asked him, "Why are you so happy?" The custodian said, "I'm happy because I'm sending a man to the moon." We can probably all think of more jobs that were more important than just the custodian mopping the floor. But it was that person who was the most happiest that had the most joy in what he was doing. He was excited because he saw a greater purpose in his job. It was just not mopping floors. It was sending a man to the moon. We can all have a good attitude towards our work, and we naturally would do a better job. But if we complain, and all the time, then people will dislike us, and our future prospects will become bleak. I say that because each and every classified employee does so much work behind the scenes. They're like planting the tree that they never expect to see the shade from.
we may never see the impact we'll have on a student's life in the future. Maybe not in my lifetime, but I promise you, classified employees care about their jobs and the purpose they do each and every day. We are so blessed to work in this district. It is not a monotonous district. It's not an average district. It's not. It's not even an ordinary district. It is extraordinary. Where else can you come to work every day and see the beauty of the Napa Valley? For me at the primary school, I can look out and see the hills and the vineyards. But more importantly, I get to see the happy smiles of the face of the children that we have the honor to serve and the staff we have the honor to clean. I thank you very much. Mr. Heller is coming to our first town hall meeting at our union next Wednesday. And it is an opportunity for our members to address school administration and have a honest feedback and question answer. We have a standing invitation to you all. If you would like to come, please let us know. We would love to have you come. I think the more that we build the relationship, the better we can understand each and every one of us. I thank you for the opportunity to speak. Now, is there any questions that you might have about classified employees this month?
Thank you, Mr. Perry. Can you give us the date and time of that town hall again?
Let me get my calendar.
Or you can send it to it. The district will send it to us. That's okay.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Thank you.
It's next Wednesday at 4:15
Okay.
at St. Helena Elementary School in room number 5, the shop program.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I always appreciate the words you share. Thank you so much. Okay, moving on, we have items 9F through I, which are the written reports from the site principals. As always, we appreciate you compiling these about the wonderful goings on at your campus, your students, and parent volunteers. So thank you very much. We're going to move on to board-related items, 10A, request for adoption of Resolution 24-30, Week of the Volunteer. And I would like to call on Trustee Wolf. Thank you so much.
All right, that's me. Okay. This evening, St. Helena Unified School District Resolution 24-30, School Volunteer Appreciation Week. We know we appreciate our volunteers. Whereas School Volunteer Week offers the opportunity to recognize and thank school volunteers who contribute unselfishly to the success of the St. Helena Unified School District, students, teaching, and support staff, and the goals of public education. And whereas parental and community involvement is a significant factor in the quality of our schools and the success of our students. And whereas we appreciate the dedicated volunteers who give their time and talent to assist professional educators and support staff. And whereas volunteers reflect the highest values of our society and become role models for students by demonstrating an interest in education. And whereas volunteers are called upon to assist teachers and staff with the day-to-day activities involved in providing a quality education for our students and are an important part of a team that strives to ensure that each and every one of our students succeeds. And whereas it is fitting to support the goals of this observance, as when parents, schools, and communities work together in preparing today's students for tomorrow's world. Therefore, be it resolved that the governing board of the St. Helena Unified School District recognize the week of April 21st, 2025 through April 25th, 2025 as School Volunteer Week. This was passed and adopted by the Board of Trustees, and I will just say, I know all of us have been parent volunteers, and it's really fun to see the new generation and all the volunteers. And I think it's fun they may not say it when they're in high school, but I think every student loves seeing their parent volunteer on campus. And I just applaud especially now with Give Big and Run Big, we have a wonderful group of parent volunteers. So.
Thank you, Trustee Wolf. Okay, we are going to move on to 10B, request to accept. Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Give me 1 second here. Is there anyone participating via Zoom who wishes to comment on this agenda item publicly? Or anybody? No? No. Okay. Do trustees have any questions about this agenda item?
No.
No? Okay. Is there a motion to approve the adoption of Resolution 24-30 as presented?
I'll make that motion.
Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Ms. Madrigal will conduct a roll call vote.
Trustee Wolf?
Aye.
Trustee Kerr?
Aye.
Trustee Mora?
Aye.
Trustee Pelosi?
Aye.
President Simon?
Aye. Motion carried. Okay. Now we are going to move on to 10B, request to accept gifts, donations, or earmarked funds. And I'd like to call on Trustee Kerr.
The board is asked to accept with gratitude the following donations. St. Helena High School has received the following donations totaling $7,000, and the $7,000 is from the Seroptimus International of St. Helena, and for that was for the pre-college summer courses program. St. Helena Primary School has received the following donation from Smith's Pharmacy, and it is a donation of jewelry, books, and other miscellaneous items. We want to thank our donors, as always, for all of their generosity to our schools. Every single month, we've received something and more, so thank you.
Thank you. We're going to move to 10. Oh, gosh, I cannot. Okay. Let's see. Is anyone participating who wishes to comment on this agenda item? No? Okay. Do the trustees have any questions about this agenda item? Is there a motion to approve the gifts, donations, and earmarked funds as presented?
I'll make that motion.
Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Ms. Madrigal will conduct a roll call vote.
Trustee Wolf?
Aye.
Trustee Kerr?
Aye.
Trustee Mora?
Aye.
Trustee Pelosi?
Aye.
President Simon?
Aye. Motion carried. 10C, approval of 2025 CSBA Delegate Assembly Candidate Nomination Region 3-B. And I asked Trustee Kerr to say a few words about this particular item tonight. She's had some experience with this, and go ahead.
Right, thank
you very much.
So I'll give kind of a little bit of a background. CSBA, which is our California School Boards Association, delegate assembly is vital to the association's governance structure. Working with local districts, county office, the board of directors, and the executive committee, delegates ensure that the association reflects the interests of school districts and county offices of education throughout the state. It sets CSBA's general policy direction and fulfills a critical governance role within the association. The delegate assembly consists of delegates elected by local board members in 21 geographic regions throughout the state. A couple of things, kind of what other responsibilities: adopt policies and positions as needed to supplement the policy platform, provide testimony or input on critical issues during special hearings at delegate assembly meetings, elect the association's officers and board of directors. They serve, bear with me. I'm sorry. Serve on standing committees, councils, task force, and focus groups, provide two-way communication with local board members, and most importantly, in my opinion, is provide advocacy on behalf of children, public education, school boards, and the association. And so that's some of the, and they support and participate in the association's activities and events. So that's a couple more things. And this is I believe it's a 4-year term, I believe. It's a 4-year term, and it would be for, we're in region number 4, which includes our county, Fairfield-Sassoon, and then parts of Sonoma County as well. And so it's what happens with this is where if there was someone who is nominated tonight, and then it'll go to another pool where then we all vote. All of the people within our county will vote on that person for the people that are on the roll for the delegation, for the delegate position. Did I say that correctly? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm kind of stammering. Oh, it's a 2-year position. It's a 2-year position. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Thank you for that correction.
So tonight it would be just where, so right now, no nominations in subregion 3, I'm sorry, were received. The governing board may write in a board member's name to fill the vacant seat. Okay. That's what we're at tonight.
Okay. Thank you so much. Is there anyone participating via Zoom or in person who wishes to publicly comment on this agenda item? Do the trustees have any questions or comments about this agenda item or any nominations this evening?
I don't have any questions, but I want to just tag on to what Jeannie's describing about this, because the last 2 days, Trustee Kerr and I have attended Legislative Action Week, and that is an opportunity to meet with our state leaders, and that's where you find the delegates, or all on that. And you might think that what kind of advocacy work do we do? But that is truly the advocacy at work, because there is a platform of assembly bills, Senate bills that are going to go forward to the floor. And that is our opportunity on behalf of students in the entire state or in our county and region. And those delegates are the people doing the work and talking the talk to help get these bills passed or not passed. So that's another thing that the delegate would do.
Thank you for that additional info. It's very important. Any other comments or nominations this evening?
You've, I almost called you Jeannie, sorry. Trustee Kerr, you filled this role previously?
No, I did not. It was maybe 4 years ago. I put my name in, and actually David Gracia of Napa Valley Unified School District was the delegate for 2 years. And actually, he was longer. And I didn't resubmit my name because I wasn't sure if I was going to run again in 24. So now that I'm running again.
Would you be willing, if I were to nominate you, would you consider it?
I would consider that.
Okay.
I would. I would. As long as there's not any other nominations, because I want everyone to have an opportunity to do this.
I would happily nominate you because I think your skill and knowledge from your experience on the board is outstanding, and I think it would just be so beneficial if you were a delegate. So I would be happy to nominate Trustee Kerr if that's the process.
I mean, ditto. If you're willing to put your name in, I would think that's great, and I thank you. All the glory and money is yours to be had.
Glory, honor. Thank you. Thank you, and I accept the nomination. Thank you.
Wonderful. Wonderful. I echoed the same. Thank you very much, Trustee Kerr.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
So we won't know for a little bit, though.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're going to make a motion to approve the nomination of Trustee Kerr this evening as presented.
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Ms. Madrigal will conduct a roll call vote.
Trustee Wolf.
Aye.
Trustee Kerr.
Aye.
Trustee Mora.
Aye.
Trustee Pelosi.
Aye.
President Simon.
Aye. Motion carried. Okay. 11A, Local Control Accountability Plan, Community Partner Engagement Written Report. I'd like to remind the board that this is a written report. And I'd first like to ask if there are any public comment on this agenda item. No? Okay. Do the trustees have any questions about this agenda item?
No, but I did notice that on the report still, that wasn't corrected, that it says which was approved by the governing board in June in 2025. So that might just need to be corrected. But other than that, I don't.
Yes, once the agenda is posted, if we're at the 72-hour mark, we can't make any changes.
Okay.
But I'm glad that you mentioned it because we can correct it now with the board's
great.
knowledge.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Mr. Heller, I want to be sure that you agree because this was your. Okay,
Yes.
I thought so.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
So that correction has been made.
And so my question would be, so it sounds as like with the first year then, is the subgroups here that we would be studying the survey, the feedback from, DLAC, ELAC, PTG, that's the normal, the normal standard?
That's typically been our rotation, as the first year is to use existing committees, and then the second year of the LCAP, we convene the public community forum night that we have, and then the third year we send out a survey to all of our families
Okay, great.
and
Thank you.
staff.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Any other questions? No? Okay. All right, we're going to move on to Human Resources. 12A, consideration of approval for the 2025 SHUSD bargaining principles. Mr. Chris Heller.
Thank you. The governing board has met several times in closed session in the fall and the winter discussing the district's core beliefs, entering our collective bargaining cycle with our labor partners this spring. The 5 principles that you see this evening are a result of these guided conversations to present to our school community. The board's asked to approve these guidelines so we have clarity for our staff and labor partners as we conduct the negotiations process.
Is there anyone participating via Zoom or in person who wishes to publicly comment on this agenda item? Okay. Do the trustees have any questions about this agenda item?
No.
No? Okay. Is there a motion to approve the 2025 SHUSD bargaining principles as presented?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Ms. Madrigal will conduct a roll call vote.
Trustee Wolf.
Aye.
Trustee Kerr.
Aye.
Trustee Mora.
Aye.
Trustee Pelosi.
Aye.
President Simon.
Aye. Motion carried. 12B, initial sunshine proposal from SHTA to SHUSD for collective bargaining negotiations. I call on Mr. Heller.
No.
Oh, and we'll call, sorry,
Mr. Louisdorf full.
just Mr.
Yeah.
Sildorf. Thank you.
I'll do it. I'll take it. I'll take this one, Chris.
Yeah, thanks.
No problem. Good evening again, trustees. So today marks the opportunity for SHTA to sunshine our proposal for the upcoming contract negotiations. It is not a haphazard collection of ideas from a small select few, but rather it is a culmination of a comprehensive feedback process started many months ago involving the people directly involved with educating the St. Helena Unified School District students, and that is the dedicated, awesome, and passionate and caring teachers of St. Helena Unified, many of whom are here today. So our proposal represents ideas and priorities expressed by all of our teachers, all of which I believe strengthens our collaborative relationship with the district, and in turn ultimately and most importantly making for the best possible educational experience for all the students of St. Helena Unified, and allowing the teachers to focus on student learning, which is ultimately the biggest goal. And that's our proposal. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lusseldorf. Is there anyone participating in public or via Zoom who wishes to publicly comment on this agenda item? Okay. Do the trustees have any questions about this agenda item?
No.
No, I do not.
No? Okay. Is there a motion to approve the sunshine proposal from SHTA to SHUSD for collective bargaining as presented?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Oh, sorry. Okay. Ms. Madrigal will conduct a roll call vote.
Trustee Wolf.
Aye.
Trustee Kerr.
Aye.
Trustee Mora.
Aye.
Trustee Pelosi.
Aye.
President Simon.
Aye, motion carried. 13A, approval to file notice of exemption for the St. Helena Primary School roof replacement and dry rot repair project.
Nobody cares about that? They don't care about the dry rot? We know you'll take care of it. All right. See you later. Good night.
Give it another second. Okay, so we'll continue with 13A, and I'd like to call on Dr. Vang, please. Thank you. And I'm going to turn it over to John Delena as this item relates to the primary school re-roofing dry rot project. So I want to bring John up in case the board has any questions. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, good evening. Thank you for having me. So tonight we're just looking for approval to file a notice of exemption for the St. Helena Primary School roofing and dry rot project. We've hired a CEQA consultant as approved by the board. They've done their evaluation and they've agreed that this is this will qualify as a notice of exemption. Any questions?
Sorry, was there any public comment via Zoom or anyone in person? No? Okay. Do we have any questions? Any comments, questions?
I don't. Surprise, huh?
No, I'm good. It's a notice of exemption, so
Yep.
it's pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Thank you. Thank you for being here this evening too.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay, let's see here. So I do not have language. I'm going to just move on. Yeah. Okay, so is there a motion to approve to file notice of exemption for the St. Helena Primary School roof replacement and dry rot repair project?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Ms. Madrigal will conduct a roll call vote.
Trustee Wolf?
Aye.
Trustee Kerr?
Aye.
Trustee Mora?
Aye.
Trustee Pelosi?
Aye.
President Simon?
Aye, motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
14A, contracts over 25,000 for March. Dr. Vang, please. All right, thank you. We have a couple of items, contracts over 25. Most of them are with the previous vendor that we have. It's Sterling. And we have, they're all IT related. We are looking to replace not only student but also staff devices, including Promethean boards, I believe, yes, Promethean boards for the high school. And then we also have one more for King Consulting, and this is for next year. The King Consulting contract is for next school year. So I wanted to bring this ahead to you and not wait till the very last board meeting to bombard you with all the renewal contracts.
Thank you, Dr. Hang. Okay.
Okay. All right. Is there anyone participating who wishes to comment on this agenda item? Okay. Do the trustees have any questions about this agenda item?
I just had one about the Promethean boards for the high school. Is there sorry, this is for purchasing, but guessing that there might be a training on how to effectively use the boards as part of their day if they haven't had them before. I just don't know if we have to include for a training cost.
I will defer to Principal Cento and our IT director, Mr. Machado.
So no PD budgeted in with these boards at this time. It's something that we can do. It's not something that's been requested, but we're always open to PD time and finding time when it's available.
Okay, thank you.
Just as a reminder, every site has a tech, I forget the exact title, but that person can provide technology, and teachers, I mean, we have a number of Prometheans already deployed in classrooms, so teachers help each other all the time.
Perfect.
So, yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Is there a motion to, oh, sorry, go ahead.
I have a request, and it's certainly, I'm not asking for an answer tonight, or I would like to revisit kind of our schedule, how the replacement schedule. There we go. So at some point, if we could see what that looks like, or
We'll get that to you.
refresh our minds on that. Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you.
Okay, is there a motion to approve the contracts over $25,000 as presented?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Ms. Madrigal will conduct a roll call vote.
Trustee Wolf?
Aye.
Trustee Kerr?
Aye.
Trustee Mora?
Aye.
Trustee Pelosi?
Aye.
President Simon?
Aye, motion carried. 14B, review and consider approval of the 2024-25 second interim report. And I will call on Dr. Vang.
Thank you. All right, so in December, I presented the first interim report. Between the first and the second interim report, there aren't any significant changes in terms of revenue. We're going to talk a little bit more about expenditures. And let me see if I can get this to work this time. Am I clicking? Yes. All right, the second interim report, the budget information does reflect the state-approved budget along with the local control funding formula. Please keep in mind that the budget is the best estimate at a given time. It is a snapshot in time. This is the second interim, which covers the start of the school year, July 1st, all the way through February. And you can see up here that we have a cycle. We're on our second interim, as you can see here. And I will not only share the current year's revenues and expenditures, but also the 2 subsequent years. These are some of the key assumptions that are used in the second interim report. You've seen these charts before. Again, there aren't any significant changes in terms of the key assumptions. Again, key assumptions here, and I'm medical benefits, we're keeping that around 10%. STRS and PERS, retirement plans. STRS is the same as you saw at first interim. PERS, same as well. So I want to look at the second interim in comparison to the first interim. We're going to start with revenue projections. And with revenue projections, you can see, again, there aren't any significant changes from compared to the first interim. When we look at the federal and state revenue, again, there aren't any significant changes, but you can see from first interim to second interim, just a slight increase in federal revenue and a slight increase in state revenue as well. These are the projected expenditures for this year, the ratio of unrestricted salaries and benefits compared to the total unrestricted expenditures. For this current year, we're at approximately 81.2%, and then in the subsequent years, we're closer to 83, a little over 83%. Our average has been about 85%. However, as I've reported the first interim, this is due to the fact that we've had some one-time expenditures, like our 2 electric buses that were about $900,000. So that increases our denominator while our numerator remains more or less the same. We've also had some district-wide technology projects, as I shared at the first interim. We bought some new Crescendo phones and did a major upgrade at all of the sites. We also have some expenses from one-time revenues and some service contracts. Also, our superintendent didn't start till November, so there were some, this resulted in some salary and benefits savings as well. When we look at our restricted programs, as you've seen before, we also have contributions to two of our programs, one being routine maintenance, the other being special ed. And you see the projected contributions from our general fund to these 2 restricted programs. You'll notice an increase in the out years as well. And then when we look at our multi-year projection, I've also included the first interim so that you can see a comparison between first interim and second interim. You'll notice the revenues, the expenditures, and then in red, a net decrease, not only in the current year, but also in the out years. In the current year, you'll notice a much larger net decrease. At first interim, we were at negative 380,000. Now we're over 3 million, and that is due to the fact that, if you recall, the board had approved me moving 2.5 million into our Fund 40, so that way we can address our facilities projects. So that 2.5 million is coming from our general fund, and it is going into our Fund 40. So you see a pretty large net decrease there. And then obviously that also has an impact on our reserves. As we are spending more, that's going to decrease our reserves. So you see a comparison between our first and our second interim, and in the out years, you also see a decrease in our reserves. Okay, help Erica. Thank you. All right, and then moving on to the next slide, this is our cash flow projections. Our cash flow projections do show a positive monthly cash balance for this school year. At first interim, our projected ending cash was 17.9, and now we're at 15.4 million. And again, that's due to the fact that I've moved the 2.5 million from our general fund into our Fund 40, and I will do the second transaction in April after we get our second pot of property taxes, because if you recall, the board has approved a total of $5 million to be moved from general fund into Fund 40. That was a set aside, and so I've removed the 2.5. I'll continue the other 2.5 million in April after we get our second lump sum of property taxes in April. So next steps, once the board approves the second interim, I will then submit it to the county office for a review and submission to the California Department of Ed. And then in the next couple of months, I'll be working closely with our Ed Services Department to work on our LCAP and our budget for next year so that I can have that to present to you in May for the public hearing, and then June is the adoption. All right, and I think, so the staff's recommendation is to ask the board to approve the 24-25 second interim report. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Vang. Is there anyone participating via Zoom or in public who wishes to comment on this agenda item? Okay. Do the trustees have any questions about this agenda item?
So it's probably a question that you cannot answer this evening. But I'm curious, I'm concerned, I'm confused given what's happening at the federal level, and the governor's budget will come out in May. Will we have will the state down to the county to our district have a better idea of what might be happening to any of the federal funding that we do receive?
So our federal funding is compared to state-funded districts, we receive much less in federal funding. In fact, our federal funding, I can even tell you what they are and what we actually receive. Okay. I have that information. So let me just grab it real fast. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 8 pots of funding that are actual federal funds. 4 of them are actually special ed related, and the total for those 4 pots of special ed dollars are a little over $300,000. Then we have our Title I, Title II, Title III, Title IV, and those 4 pots of monies are around a little over $200,000. So our federal funds in total slightly over $500,000. So for us, federal funding is minimal because we're a basic aid district.
Right. Okay.
It is slide 6, correct?
It looks like it.
It is.
So the first section says federal revenue, so it loosely tied to the numbers you just gave us.
It's at $527,807.
Okay.
Correct.
Dr. Vang, if we had to pick up the slack for this, for the titles and the special ed services, where would we pull from that?
It would come from our general ed funds. Currently, as you saw on slide 8, we're already making a pretty huge contribution to our special ed programs. It's an unfunded mandate, right? So we have special ed as one of our programs that we every year make a pretty large contribution from our general fund to our special ed.
Thank you.
And is there rumblings as well about universal food?
Not that I have heard, because Universal Foods is a state program. California Universal Meals is a state program, although
Okay.
we do get federal reimbursements through the feds. So at this
Yeah.
point,
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
And I saw that there was some discontinuation of some of the nutrition programs, and it looked like it was like kind of farm to table type of things. That's not, we don't receive any of those types of the funding then from.
no,
from
we
that grant that
we
they
do have some one-time food service funds, but we have spent majority of them last year. There are only, I believe, 2 pots of money left that we are spending this year. One of them is our kitchen infrastructure funds, and I've been working closely with our food service director. We've been purchasing new equipment for our kitchens, so all of those funds will be spent at the end of this year. That's the deadline.
Okay, so that is a deadline then. There's the
Yes.
deadline to that one.
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay, thank you.
I just had a question on slide 9. Yes. To clarify for the 2025, 2026, the 2 years, out years from where we are now, those budgets do not include the set of facility projects that are going to be coming to us this school year, correct? Right now, like
There's a set aside, there's a $5 million set aside in the out years for facilities projects.
yes, but
So-
we know it's more. Okay. Okay.
Any other comments or questions? Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
Could I just clarify, Dr. Vang, for my own knowledge? So what you're saying is if the board in May, when they're presented with potential facilities projects that could commence immediately thereafter, if the board does anything over $5 million, it will come out of those ending fund balances, correct?
It will come from.
Or it will lower them?
Yes,
Okay.
it will lower them, definitely.
Thank you.
And how low can we, I mean, where is the safest that you would recommend that we could go?
I think that's a much larger conversation
Okay.
because of the fact that we are a basic aid district, so we don't have, we're not relying on, we're not relying on the state to fund us. So if anything happens, We have to make sure we have a good safety net, right? But at the same time, so I think it's a conversation that we can have. It's a larger scale conversation.
Okay.
And we are planning to have that in May with you to gauge your comfort level and make those decisions, particularly about facilities, but also some other items you've talked about in the past, like the GASB 75, I think is one, and increasing that contribution. So it will all have to do with the board's comfort level with that reserve and how low you're willing to go.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate that. And I don't want to speak on behalf of the board members, but I can say that I really, I appreciate that we're going to be having that meeting in May. It is something that is always on my mind, especially with our impossibly large deferred maintenance price tag right now. So thank you for bringing this to a special meeting. So we continue to try to figure it out. Thank you.
We'll figure it out as a team. Thank you.
Yes, we will. Thank you, Dr. Vang.
So, but as far as our reserve, we're required to have 5%? Do we have to have a
3% for our ADA, for our school size.
3%?
We are meeting the 3%.
Right, but so 3% is the
Yes.
the minimum?
Yes, that's
Okay,
the legal
okay.
minimum requirement,
Okay,
yes.
great, thank you.
Dr. Vang, Prop 98 money, there's a piece of legislation in front of the state that would, it would impact the 6 million students across the state. There's the request is to reject that because it would be $1.6 billion dollars. How would that affect us?
Again, we are.
So it's not. So I just want to be clear
Yes.
for the record that it wouldn't affect us.
Well, it will affect us in some of our programs that if they were to, bring out new programs, new one-time dollars.
Right.
That would affect us, but overall, in the big scheme of things, not as much
As the, okay.
compared to a state-funded
Sure.
school district.
Okay. Thank you for clarifying.
And it doesn't sound like there's anything in the works for funding TK for basic aid districts then, is that correct? Have you heard of
There's
anything
still lots of legislative discussions around that. We have an SF squared spring symposium
in
coming
April,
up, and
yeah,
so they'll be giving us an update on that. If you recall, we all wrote letters to support that for basic aid districts. We haven't received any hard responses yet, any clear responses. So they're still discussing that.
Great, that's what I thought. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And I would think the same thing with the facilities bond.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lots up in the air, more questions than answers,
Yes,
unfortunately.
exactly. Yeah, great, thank you.
Okay. Any other comments? Okay. Is there a motion to approve the 2024-25 second interim report as presented?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Ms. Madrigal will conduct a roll call vote.
Trustee Wolf?
Aye.
Trustee Kerr?
Aye.
Trustee Mora?
Aye.
Trustee Pelosi?
Aye.
President Simon?
Aye, motion carried. 15A, future agenda items. And we'll take a look and see what's coming up. On March 26th, we have a Student Achievement Board Study Session. And on April 17th, that will be the third Thursday because we have spring break the second. We'll have our regular board meeting, and included in that meeting will be an RLS Adopt a School report by Trustee Kerr, and we're going to have a presentation by the St. Helena High School Choir, so that'll be fun, and among other things. At this time, is there anything else that the trustees would like to add to our future agenda?
I had one. I had discussed in a meeting with Dr. McClay, I wanted to ask the board how you felt about having some time, study session or something about understanding or redefining our district goals, because I guess I've struggled, maybe this was just a me thing, I didn't know that, so the LCAP goals, I always thought with the district goals, and it turns out that the LCAP are supposed to be a subset of your district goals, and I feel like they've kind of melded into the same thing, because like even our paperwork says district goals and their word for word are LCAP goals. Maybe we don't need a differentiation, but it sounds like it is useful. I know that was something that came in up with our PLC best practice, that 2-hour board study session we had for PLCs, guiding that the board needs to have very clear goals. And I wanted to see if maybe it was time to just revisit as a board and make sure that we are all very clear on what these mean to us and the action, not the actions, because that's not goals, but just to ensure that we are all completely aligned, because I think that's going to help us drive our consistency in voting. Like, are these changes going to directly impact our district priorities and goals? And maybe if there's no need, I don't know, I just wanted to bring it up, but if we do have changes, then we could start off next school year with some of those if we have any. But
When were those dated? When was the last, are those,
this is our LCAP goals.
okay, but they're the district goals as well?
Right.
But, okay,
And I know we used to have goals that were different than the LCAP
Right.
goals. And then there were superintendent goals that were presented a year and a half ago. So it would just be nice if we could spend some time, because this is not the forum, and we can't talk outside of a board meeting. So I
Right.
just thought it would be nice if we could talk about what the district goals and realign.
yeah. I'm not opposed to that. If,
No, I would be happy to do that. I think it's always a good practice to make sure that all of our goals are aligned, and yeah, we're the keeper of the goals, so we need to make sure that they're aligned and working well for district, for students and staff. So absolutely.
Support as well.
So we're hearing that a consensus, we'd like to add a study session. We have one in May on facilities, and then we don't have one in April, do we, Ms. Madrigal? No, so we could theoretically add one in May or June on this topic and begin the discussion? Great.
Okay. So that will
Thank
be
you.
reviewing the goals and redefining, perhaps redefining some of the goals. Does that sound
Maybe.
kind of
Yeah.
where we may want to
Yeah.
go, the direction we may want to go? Okay. Okay. Anything else for a future agenda?
no, thank you.
Okay. All right, so we are going to head into adjournment, 16A. Is there a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Who's second? I'm sorry.
Sean.
I win.
Okay. Ms. Madrigal will conduct a roll call vote.
Trustee Wolf.
Aye.
Trustee Kerr.
Aye.
Trustee Mora.
Aye.
Trustee Pelosi.
Aye.
President Simon.
Aye, motion carried. Have a good evening. Thank you for attending.